The ethical, legal, and social issues that are surrounded with the code of biobanking range from issues of trust, confidentiality, or privacy. It also covers the issue of benefits. When you do this research, who gets the benefit? Is it the researcher, or is it the research community that derives the benefit? And of course, the concept of consent is also very important, because going by, is a basic ethical principle that before you do research, you must gain consent of the research subject. And I'm talking about informed consent, very important. And of course, there are also issues about sharing the biological samples, or sharing data with another researcher, maybe in a different environment. Of course, you may also want to reuse materials that are stored in the bank. The reuse of stored samples or stored data is also an important ethical issue. It's an important MSc issue. Yes, and of course, other includes return of research results. Many people in the community are willing to donate blood for research. Very many people. A very high proportion of people are willing to donate blood. However, there is still a small proportion, let's say about 1 or 2 out of 10 people, who are concerned about donating blood for research purpose. And they give reasons like they don't know what is going to happen to their blood. They know that the life of the flesh is in the blood. So if you take their blood, you don't know whether you're going to use their blood to make rituals, to make money. People have those concerns.
Some people actually do not like participating in such research as participants. But if they know that to some extent they are protected, their interests are protected, then obviously you should encourage them ordinarily. Yes, since it can have human rights implications for the person who's interviewing them.
When you come to the African environment, which is a different research landscape, you have an heterogeneity of cultural perceptions and beliefs. You have heterogeneity of religious beliefs, and if you must operate in such an environment, you still need to gain the trust of the community within which you are carrying out the research. You must gain their trust, you must gain their confidence, and they give you the blood sample. They must know what do you intend to do with it, and what happens to this sample over time.
So what the court now decided was that anytime humans are to be used for research, you must obtain their consent at all costs. And that principle still subsists till today. Yes. So that means participants are protected.
Because there have been issues, a lot of issues around that people say they take blood to do some sacrifice, they take blood to make money. And who knows whether the experimenting will also lead to people, getting blood from the laboratory too, to use. That is also part of it.
Yes, what it means now is that if I give you anything in trust, you must use it for that purpose. Yes. So let us now say tissue is the one in issue now. Then I've given you this tissue for some purpose. Then use it for that purpose. So if you fail to use it for that purpose, then you are liable in tort. Another relevant human rights provision is the right to privacy. Yes. When you are volunteering information, and this information are personal, even your tissue is also personal to you. They have sequences, or what do they call it in science, which of course is personal to you. So it's likely to give rise to a violation of right to privacy. Let's say the researcher misuses the information supplied. Yes. Or maybe the researcher doesn't really care about how the information is saved or stored and used. So it may give rise to the violation of human rights, to privacy.
When we take your blood sample for research, number one, we de-identify you. So there is no way for anybody to know that this particular blood is from Mr. A or Mr. B. So your sample is de-identified. But beyond the de-identification, we also ensure that the blood is kept permanently in our biobank. Our biobank, we have multiple freezers in which we keep the blood sample.
Sometimes you may want to share tissues. For example, you have used this tissue, you have conducted some research, you have some international partner, let's say in UK, and you want to transfer those tissues with them. Can you do it? Under the power of autonomy, you must obtain their direct consent. Yes.
We have an ethical committee that sits on the proposals, and this ethical committee has lawyers, has religious leaders, has members of the community represented on the committee, and they rigorously look at this to be sure that the blood samples or the fractions are only going to be used for purposes that are right, that are scientific, that are ethically correct, that are legally correct, and that will have no iota of harmful effect on the individuals who are given the blood samples.
You know, there are several research institutes, different universities. They have the way by which they regulate scientists. If you are going to use human specimen, then you will submit your proposal to a body that will look at it, and we are going to approve it or disapprove of what you want to do. We have such.
The purpose is simply to make scientific discoveries that can help us to improve the health of the people. And when we come up with discoveries that improve health, then you get the credit, because you're part of the people who make that kind of research endeavor, who make it happen.
And the assurance that we researchers are saying is that what you give us, what you say to us, use for research, the credit is still going to come back to you. Many times you read about they name something after somebody. Is the person who volunteered say, this is my life, use it.
Of course, we can also look at it from the perspective of intellectual property. Yes, there are instances where somebody has supplied a gene. Then, you know, when it comes to the commercial aspect of scientific knowledge, big business interests will come in. The question now is, the person has donated the tissue. Is he entitled to something in monetary terms? And what is the person entitled to? Sometimes you just discover that these people are not given anything, yet big business have started making a lot of money on it. Interestingly, if you look at the African Charter of Human and People's Rights, it also has something to say there. Yes, that people should not be exploited. Sincerely. And people in that context emphasizes indigenous people. Yes, that they should not be exploited. They are free to determine how to use their resources. Yes, in a way that is going to foster international cooperation and the likes. So that means this thing can implicate human rights in various ways, and of course can also implicate intellectual property. Advancement in technologies can change practices, but if you have acted in line with the current practice as it obtains in other parts of the world, you try to protect the information given to you in the course of your research as practical as the technology and human carefulness permit, then you are not likely to be held liable in tort.